What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Superpower Review. I'm your host, Ken Udenia, and I'm so happy to be back at the studio today for this episode. Ever since Detective Comics number 1000 came out, we had a brief cameo appearance of the Arkham Knight, and we're probably all wondering, who is the Arkham Knight? So, to help me talk about this episode, we have a returning guest. We got John on the show today. John, how are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So, John, thank you so much for coming back on the show with us here at Superpower Review. We're so happy to have you. What did you think of these two Detective comic issues that came out recently?
So I actually really enjoyed them. They had a good flow. I liked, again, that each one had a separate breakdown of something that was happening to the Arkham Knight. So each one had the beginning of like the initiation of the Knights of the Sun, I think they were called.
Yeah.
And that was like the Arkham Knight's Templar group. So he already has basically his own bat family that he has following him around.
Right. He already has his own cronies.
Yeah. So I enjoyed both books thoroughly, and I still have questions on both of them. But it looks like the next one's going to have some answers, I feel like.
Maybe. I've heard that this we won't like find out who the Arkham Knight is like 4 issues in. We're already 2, so we're like kind of halfway in. But if we can briefly kind of talk about what happened in these books, just in case if the audience have not read these yet, but we don't want to give too much in case if they do want to read them later. First off, this is written by Peter Tomasi and pencils done by Brad Walker. This is a great story, and this starts off harsh right away. The story opens up with dead bats all over Gotham, so this is already like a sign or a threat like, hey, we want to take the Knight out of Gotham. It starts off with a threat. Batman kind of wants to go after Francine Langstrom, who then turns into Man-Bat, or in this case, Woman-Bat. They get into a scuffle. Always really cool to see a Man-Bat / Woman-Bat appearance in the books. He tries to get answers, and then a sun bomb goes off in Gotham, and daylight strikes. And then, if you want to take it away from there, John, what happens after that?
So basically, after Woman Bat freaks out and her ears started bleeding, so I'm thinking that the attack was some sort of sonic attack on all the bats that would only affect them because Batman couldn't find out. Didn't he cut open like 56 of them?
Yeah.
To figure out what was going on with them. At that point, Batman gets attacked by all the Knights of the Sun.
Right, and then there's a pretty epic battle, and then we find out that they have arrows, and these arrows are penetrating Batman's suit when they shouldn't be, I guess. And then also that when he throws his batarangs at their suits or their armor is deflecting off of their armor.
I thought the big part of that one is when he cast his line out to get out of there.
Yeah.
And they threw one of the stars at the line and it snipped it. I thought that could have been a callback to Under the Red Hood. He basically said the same exact line in his head. That's almost impossible, or whatever he said.
That's nice, because you know what? I didn't actually pick up on that. That's a good call. Good call.
As soon as I read it, I was like, oh, man. I wanted to know how they knew about getting arrows through his Kevlar. Yeah. I want to know how they knew. I mean, how could you take a battery just bounce off you?
Right, which is not really the case in a Batman book, where we usually see batarangs, cut something or go into a person. So kind of different to see batarangs deflect off of armor. And then we pretty much, after that, we see a grand appearance. And this kind of bleeds into Detective Comics 101 into 102, where then the Arkham Knight comes into play here. And he just seems like a really big threat in these stories.
He basically just dominates Batman from the second that he walks up, stepping on his head,
Yeah.
him to the ground, and basically telling him, "No more night. This is our turn.
Right,
Good
right.
luck."
Pretty much, he said it, and the writing is really good in this book. Peter Tomasi does a great job with some writing in this book, but there are some lines in these books that definitely cut deep. So he said something like, you're so selfish to think that this city is yours, like you've nearly kidnapped it. So like something of those terms. But there's definitely some really good writing in this story. And pretty much after that, there's like a Mexican standoff between the police and the Sun Knights, I guess you want to call them.
I can't believe they called it a stalemate like that.
Yeah, right. And then it pretty much like Batman and the Arkham Knight are like, okay, we done doing this? Like, you want to do this another day? You want to postpone this? I'll send you a card in the mail or something.
That made me think it was very personal because, I mean, if I was a super criminal hell bent on truth and justice and I'm that close to where I was, would you really be like, I want you again at your best?
Yeah, right. And then we go back to a scene where Batman is trying to figure out how the arrows were able to penetrate his suit, and then the other part of the story is Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne sees a signal that there's fragments of the sun bomb in a harbor, and he goes searching for them. So he's underwater, and then he pretty much gets attacked by the Sun Knights. And I'm gonna have to say throughout this book, this was probably one of the most confusing parts of the book for me. I don't know if it was the way how it was drawn. Maybe it was too dark. There's like a lot of bubbles in the scene. I felt a little lost in the scene, to be quite honest. I don't know how you felt about it.
So I felt the same thing. I had to read it over 2 or 3 times and follow each one with my eyes and really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But I like how Tomasi writes Damien.
Yeah, right.
Kind of naive, but also totally a badass.
And then he ends up getting caught by the Arkham Knight, and again,
Alive.
Alive. Yes, that's true. Alive. They make note of that a few times where he obviously says they want me alive when they shoot the net at him.
We didn't that the Arkham Knight saved those cops' partners.
That too. That's also true. There's also some good writing in this when he's telling Robin that you are a creature of the day or of daylight, and you do your work at the nighttime, like you're corrupted by the night. Again, not word for word, but something along those lines. But again, just to show some really good writing in the story. And then he tries to get Robin, Damian Wayne, to join sides with him, and obviously Damian Wayne was not having it. But let's go to the end here, unless there's something that you want to bring up that I just mentioned.
What was up with the tapestries on the wall? Do you see those behind Arkham?
I didn't know. I don't know what to make of those tapestries on the walls.
It had all the different Robins on it. It has to be somebody that knows what's going on.
So
It had Todd up in front. It had Stephanie Brown behind him. It had Dick Grayson on there. How would you know that?
I think you're a detective there, John. You're like, I think on the side work you're a detective, and you just find all these things. This is like the second thing that you've pointed out that I was like, I didn't really think about that. That first one that you brought up was pretty good.
Damien pointed it out when he was like, "Great, now there's a angry Batman and needlepoint," and I was like, "That's ridiculous."
Yeah, right. And then obviously at the end of the story, the Arkham Knight takes off his helmet, but we don't get to see who it is. So that begs the question, who is the Arkham Knight? So John, who do you think could possibly be the Arkham Knight? Is it someone from the DCU that we know already, or is it somebody completely new? What do you think?
All right, so I have 3 possibles and one left field. So I'm going to go what I said last time with it could still be Two-Face. Very personal with Batman in his own life. Batman, even at one time when Two-Face got healed, trained him to be a new hero. Didn't last very long. Maybe that could have split into another personality. I don't know. All this sword imagery, I'm thinking Azrael, but I feel like he's in another story right now, somewhere else, so that doesn't make sense. I also think that it could possibly be Rick Grayson, Batman's first Robin, Dick Grayson, after getting shot in the head by KG Beast. He doesn't remember his entire background of what happened with Batman as like a kid, and he's super confused on what's going on and what could be going on in his world. A former Robin. I know Jason Todd already has a path and he's on his own story, so I don't think Arkham Knight's Jason like the video game.
Yeah.
But that would give us why he would have that inside somewhat knowledge. And then I'm going to say possibly that it could be Lincoln March and his brother. That was the Alan.
Right.
Says he knows him better than he knows the city, that he's his blood.
I didn't think of that. I'm kind of like diehard thinking that this is Azrael. So like you brought up a point too that I didn't think about, that like Azrael's kind of like on his own thing, but for a while there, now ever since you said that, but for a while I was really thinking that this was going to be Azrael
because of the sword, right?
The sword, and his shield is a big freaking A, for Christ's sake.
But what made me not think Azrael, isn't that already like a religion? So wouldn't it making his own like temple?
Well, I don't know. Like, so there's like these side stories, but what if this is like a this could completely be 100% wrong, but what if this is a reboot to Azrael?
I would be all right with it.
You'd be all right with that? I think I would be okay with that too. Seeing Azrael kind of like evolve into a bigger character such as this.
Do you think Damian joins them?
Do I think Damian's going to join into them? I don't know. Damian's like a wild card. He could go pretty much either way. He could, stand up to his father like he has in the past, but I don't know. Damian Wayne is definitely a wild card, and I feel like he could go either way. He's always smite with his dad, but he's also, on the same side, he's very honorable to his dad as well.
How cool is his suit though that they showed him?
That suit was pretty cool. It's medieval, but hey, it can deflect batarangs. So I think I would ditch the original Robin costume and maybe go for the armored one.
I like the one shoulder cover. I think that's a cool look.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the whole like Mortal Kombat mask look. Revenant to MK11 coming out a couple of weeks ago. But
I still have no idea. I feel like they might even throw it to somebody that's never even been in the comic books yet. Maybe somebody they made from the animated series. I don't know.
It could be. It possibly could be. This could be, DC could be like, be throwing a whirlwind at us, and we might be speculating on who could it be, but I don't think, obviously we still really don't know, but I think they try to give hints at us to like, so we can guess on maybe who it is, but we actually really don't know who it is. I don't know, but I don't know. My big guess was Azrael for a long time, but ever since you said maybe he's like well off, that maybe it's not Azrael. But when I was reading the Detective Comics number 102, I was like 1002. I was like, he's got a big A for a shield. Like it's Arkham and it's Azrael. And like, so question though, in this comics though, I mean, obviously that we've seen this character before in the games, and we knew him as the Arkham Knight in the games. Have they mentioned that he is the Arkham Knight in the books though?
Does he call himself it yet?
I can't remember.
Cover like so they mention it. So like the Arkham Knight Rises, so it says it.
Okay.
But I don't know if he ever says it.
But I don't think he ever says it. So like maybe that's like that's more trickery from DC Comics. I don't know, because they know that we know that he's the Arkham Knight from the games, but is he the Arkham Knight in the comic books though? He could look like the Arkham Knight, but he could still be Azrael. All right. Go ahead.
I think they're gonna make us all think one thing and then throw it where you would never expect it.
And it really possibly could be that way. This could be a first appearance of someone that we never have ever seen before. And, with the whole factuation of Batman, maybe we'll get more of a backstory, which is why that factuation would make more sense in the story. I don't know. Maybe it's a clone from, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of clone from Jason Todd.
Clones now? They have a clone conspiracy?
I don't know. I'm just saying that only because of what you said in the beginning of, someone cutting the line.
Damien?
Huh?
Like Heretic?
One more time. I can't hear. I'm sorry.
Do you think it's another Damien?
Another Damien? Like in the movie Bad Blood? Or
don't they have an island of all like the deformed ones that Damien saved? Because the League of Shadows was trying to make another Damien because they kind of messed him up.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. But that's been done before. You know what I mean? Like, so why would they redo that? Like, why would they have so much buildup just to like redo something that they've already done before? I don't know.
Well, I mean, they showed in the past that they experimented on it and never really got it. So maybe this is their way of actually getting it. So maybe it's League of Shadows?
Could it be linked to the League of Shadows? I don't know.
Andrea Beaumont, Phantasm, and now they're introducing her as a character.
There's so many possibilities. I really don't know. Like, you feel like you have it on the tip of your tongue, but you really don't.
Starting to think it's a Damien now. I think I just convinced myself of that.
Right, because why would he keep him alive? It's the same thing as the animated movie. It's the same thing.
And why wouldn't the League of Assassins would know what Batman wears and how to defend it? I feel like.
I don't know, but all I'm going to have to say is to the audience, if you guys have any speculations or any ideas of who the Arkham Knight is, please comment in the section below on who you might think it is. Do you think we're on the right path of who we think it is? Me and John. Let us know what you think. All right, so John, we're almost running out of time. Before we go, obviously, these books were really good, and it's obviously tradition here on Superpower Review to give a review on a book or anything using the CGC grades. So let's start off with Detective Comics number 101. What would you give this book using a CGC grade?
I'm going to give 1001 a 9.2. I thought it was a great book. I did have to, like you said, in 1002, I had to read it once or twice to kind of get the flow of it. Some of the panel layouts were a little weird.
Yeah.
But I think it completed that first chapter pretty well. So I'm going to give it a 9.2.
All right. I'm going to go really high with this book only because when I read a newer book and it kind of like makes me really pumped about what I read, because I don't find that very often in newer books. I know I buy new books just to kind of keep up to date on what's happening in the comic book world. But when a book such as this becomes a really good read, this book was really action-packed, and I love that in comic books. I'm going to really have to jump this one high and give this book a 9.8. I really like this book a lot. Writing's really good, the artwork's really good, and I love the action in this book. So I'm definitely going to give this one a 9.8, and it's a really good read, and it's a good mystery on who might be the Arkham Knight. So very good read. If you haven't been picking up Detective Comics lately since 1000, you're slacking and you need to pick it up. So, all right, on to 1002. John, what do you say? Grade for this book?
All right, I'm going to go a 9.4 with this book. I think that they had great action in the beginning with the Arkham Knight fight. I really enjoyed the Damian part. I relate very much with Damian. I feel like we're the same person a lot of the time in my younger days. I thought, again, I love the art. I like the way Batman's eyes look. I like the way Arkham Knight looks. So yeah, 9.4.
You like the Batman like kind of visor look? You don't like it that it's just like white? You like that look?
I am digging it. I like kind of how it's like reflective.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. It's different for a change. All right, so for my rating for this book, I'm going to give this one a little bit lower than the last one. I felt like that the continuation of the fight could have maybe gone on to the first series, for the first issue, I felt. So, and then there was a lot of in that in between where, you know, something was going on, like a little bit of something, but not much of anything was really going on, if that makes sense. But the ending was cool. The ending made up for it. But I'm going to give this book a 9.4. Still a very exciting book. Still a good read. Same artwork, same writer. So obviously some really good points in here. Really good writing. I really like the writing for these books. And, you know, I'm such a huge Scott Snyder fan when it comes to writing books. And to me, Tomasi is new to me. And so it's nice to have something new and different for me. So really good books. Pick them up if you haven't yet. You know, support your local comic shop on Wednesdays. That's all I gotta say. So, John, we ran out of time. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
No problem. Anytime.
I hope you can come back. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Superpower Review. Make sure you like this video if you liked anything that John and I had to say. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys really soon.